Hi, I'm Dick Norton, Mayor of the City of Greene, and welcome to A Minute with the Mayor. In past presentations, I normally have a script, prepared remarks, but today I'm choosing to speak just from bullet points, and I want to talk to you about the school levy. In the last Minute with the Mayor, I chose the same topic, but the election day is near, and May 3rd will be here before you know it, and I wanted to take some time just to share my thoughts about the levy and the importance of it. First, I'm pleased to announce, in the event you haven't heard, that the school administration has bargained with their employees and they were able to get concessions. And I know for many of you that was a major point of contention and was even pivotal in your decision whether or not to support the schools. Again, I'm pleased to announce that wage concessions did occur, $1.3 million of concessions, a 3-year agreement, and a wage freeze over the next 3 years. So I think that was, again, very important to many of you, and I applaud administration. I give a lot of credit to teachers and staff for agreeing to these concessions, and I think it sends a strong signal to the community that they understand your position and where you're at, and I applaud them for those major concessions, and they are significant. Again, $1.3 million, that's pretty significant. I think all of you would agree. The other thing I'd like to talk about is a little bit of our values. I know many of you, again, are on the fence in terms of whether or not to support the levy. And I share this story often about a corporation and its values, or an organization and their values. And often I've said you can tell a lot about a company or a lot about an organization based on their budget. And often things are recited like, we value education, or we value employee morale, or we value shareholder value, any number of things. Yet when you look at the budget, there is no line item for it at all. And I often think of you and I and us in our present position, and we say we value a good school system, and we say we value education, and I know that collectively we all do. So I ask you to think of it in a personal way, to look at your own personal budget, and will you adjust your budget to reflect your values? And so if you value a strong school system, and by the way, we have one, as you know, with a great performance history, will you put a line item in your own personal budget and adjust accordingly and support this levy? And I hope that you do, and I recommend that you do. The other thing I'd like to talk about is in our community, our strengths. You know, the City of Greene is a great community. We have an awful lot of good things going on, and we have a bright future. I've worked very hard for the last 4 years to make sure that we have progressive and aggressive economic development. We have new businesses coming to Greene. We have existing businesses coming to Greene. We have invested in infrastructure. We've created lots of opportunities to walk and enjoy the parks. We've added sidewalks, and that's helped an awful lot to help bring businesses to our city. But our strength is in our population. It's in our families, and I often see and am very impressed with the kind of involvement we have from our community members. When I go to a school event, they're always well attended. When there's anything with regard to city business that's contentious, our people are out and involved. And so I thank you for that. I appreciate your involvement, and I need you to be involved. We need your collective brains and your collective power to keep moving us in the right direction. So I just wanted to share with you how much I appreciate your involvement in our city, and I encourage you to keep doing that. Following that, I'd like to talk about the concept of ownership. And when I say ownership, I mean in terms of our responsibility. I think collectively and individually, we all own the responsibility for our city. It is really not up to the state of Ohio. It's really not up to the federal government. It really is up to each and every one of us to own the responsibility for the welfare of our city. And we do that through our involvement. We do it through supporting our school levies and other activities. And so I ask you to own it. Own the responsibility, just like I do. I'm responsible for the city. I don't own it. I have no tangible ownership, but I do own the responsibility. And I ask you to think of this school levy in those terms. I would also share with you the importance of passing a levy and its relationship to the city. What we've discovered is that when a school system begins to fail, or it begins to look like it's underfunded, it isn't long that the city begins to have problems as well. And because so much of what goes on a city revolves around the school. Many businesses stay here because of the school. Many residents move here because of the schools. They can also leave here because of the schools. So we are clearly interdependent, and we need to have a successful school to continue to have a successful community. Conversely, what also happens is if a city fails, if it fails in terms of finance, it's no longer financially sound, or it seems to have lost its direction, often what you see is a failing school system. So you rarely see a good school system in a poor city. And so the good news is, fortunately, we have a great school, we have a great city, and the city is financially sound, but it could begin to deteriorate, and it will deteriorate in terms of our ability to keep and retain businesses, which is the source of revenue that gives us all the things that we want: the great parks, the great roads, the great programs, the high degree of safety, all the other things that we value. So I ask you to think of all these things that I've just suggested to you. Now, finally, let me close again by saying I truly understand the financial constraints that some of us have. There is no doubt that for some folks it's a financial hardship, and I get that and I appreciate that. But I think there are enough of us that can afford it and should afford it. And I ask you to think clearly about going to the polls on May the 3rd. Vote yes for Issue 8. I've described in great detail the importance of it, and I come to you with all humility and all respect, and I'm asking for your support in this very important initiative. This has been a Mayor with a Minute, or this has been a Minute with the Mayor. I'll get that right. Thanks for your attention, and thank you for watching.